Good evening. Welcome to Great Games. It's me, Chris Brack. It's him, Kev O'Sullivan. How are we all doing? So, Kev, episode 2. They let us come back. It's a good start, isn't it?
Not bad.
Not bad. See how long it lasts. So, in case you didn't know, we are going to talk about. We're only doing one game because when I was me and Kev were looking at games, said if we're going to do this Barcelona game, we could do a whole show in it. We don't really need 2 games. This one we could talk around for ages. But before that, Kev, should we talk about the current state of things, because it's fixture release day and people get very excited about fixture release day. I've noticed this. Do you get really excited over it? Does it float your boat? Do you look for certain things, or you like it is what it is?
No, I got to admit, I saw it. There was a tweet going around before 9 o'clock as to what the fixtures were and what have you. You don't know whether to believe it or not.
But you knew.
Well,
I saw the leaked paper one, which was like,
yeah.
Why was it printed on paper that big so everyone could read it? And it said Luton versus Liverpool. But both sides have to play away. But both sides have asked to play away. So
yeah,
it doesn't really work.
No, I looked at the fixture. I always look out for them. And 9 o'clock come around. It's like, yeah, okay, let's see who we got. And yeah, I was like, I looked at our fixtures, and here, our first 4 fixtures, we've got Chelsea away, Bournemouth at home, Newcastle away, Villa at home. 3 tough fixtures, and no disrespect to Bournemouth, but I'd imagine that game gets flipped as well. I'd imagine the Bournemouth one could get flipped. So we could end up being away at Bournemouth on that day, depending on where they are with the stadium and if they're on time and what have you.
That's
so
true.
Well, I thought, do you know what? If you're going to play Chelsea, I think you want to play Chelsea early. They're going to be a lot of changes at Chelsea this summer. You got a new manager coming in. You're going to have a lot of turnover in players in and out.
Mm.
So I think before Pochettino gets settled into the job, I honestly think that first game of the season, it's a great time to play him.
It could be like the 16-17 season. Was it? We had Arsenal away.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
That was. I mean, the other thing is, it depends on which prism we're in, really, because like Jack said, our first 5 away games are horrendous. But it depends which Liverpool we get next year. Because we get the Liverpool we've had apart from the previous 2 or 3 years, apart from last year, Liverpool don't always find a way with these sort of away fixtures. They find a way of getting it done. But obviously, our away form last year, you did most of the shows. It's fucking horrific.
Our away form was horrendous. Our home form was really good. The odd draw that you'd hope to turn over to wins. Lost 1 game, which was really avoidable. So in general, our home form was absolutely fine. It's our away form that let us down badly last season.
Yeah.
So it's something that that you hope that they address, and you'll get the cliches. It's a 38 game season. You got to play everyone twice. But yeah, look, there's fixtures I look out for.
But it's also
obviously the first
playing players at the right time, isn't it? It's playing teams at the right times.
For me, it's the first 3 games, because it's usually the first 3 games and you get an international break. Look out for Manchester United. When are we going to get them home and away? I look out for the Christmas fixtures and who's the run-in in case we're in a race where we got to try and achieve something, whether it's a league title, whether it's a fight for top 4, no matter what it is. Looking at the last 6 games to see what they're like.
Yeah. Oh, she'd say, surely Chelsea won't end up 0-0 again. I think, is it the previous 6 games have been 0-0, including Cup? But just these, and it doesn't matter how well or poorly Liverpool are doing or Chelsea doing. They always cancel each other out. It's just one of those sort of games. But the other thing that's helped us is, I think they said for the Europa League group games, 5 of the 6 are at home after the Europa League, and 2 of them are against fellow Europa League teams. So we've got Brighton away. But they've also come back from a Europa League game, same as us. So we're both in the same boat there, and same West Ham way. So it doesn't give us, it isn't as big a disadvantage. I think some of the home games we've got are as favourable as you can get them, for home games. The likes of Brentford, people like that. So it's not like you have to do City away straight after the Europa League game. I think the most difficult one we've got is I think it's United at home, but that's our last Europa League fixture. So ideally, if Liverpool can get themselves qualified in the first 5 games, then that Europa League game's man. They give them a week to prep for United.
Yeah, and the other one you got to look at as well, for me, I think the run over Christmas, where that's a tough run, though. it's a tough run, but we're at home. We're at home
Yeah.
for I think 3 of the 4 games.
Yeah, so
And
just
away
so
game
people,
is
just so people know it, it's on the 16th of December. It's United at home, it's Arsenal at home, Burnley away on Boxing Day, Newcastle at home around New Year, and then it's the FA Cup, and then it's Bournemouth away on the 30th of Jan, and then there's a winter break until the 31st of Jan.
Yeah, and the other side, the other thing you got to look at is the games the Mo Salah will be missing for the African nations. Now, look, there's going to be plenty of clubs in this boat. It's not just Liverpool. There's going to be plenty of top clubs missing players for the AFCON, and it's not an unknown.
Yeah,
so
the games he's going to miss. The games he's going to miss is Chelsea at home, Arsenal away, Burnley at home, Brentford away. So quite tricky fixtures, which is why you and me have both said probably should look at getting another attacker in, really, and get them bedded in.
Yeah, I hope so.
Because listen, we're not getting away with it. When him and Manny were with the AFCON, Jota stepped up and Jota just banged goals and fought. And to be fair, actually, Fabinho went through a very good goal scoring. So somebody else did step up, but we also had Minamino around the squad. We had like a 6th, 7th attacker in and around the squad that was handy to have. So,
but there was some other news that broke today as well. You had the list released of the players who were released from the club, and the list of players who have been offered contracts who are deciding them. Adrian has been offered a contract, obviously we know. None of the ones that are leaving the club are ones that you would you'd balk at. I think Jack Bean was probably the one that is leaving who's actually played. The other one who's been offered a contract is Paul Glatzel. Has been offered a contract.
He's had a couple of bad knee injuries.
He's had some really bad injuries, but as Emmett pointed out in a chat earlier on, he's 22, and he's club grown and homegrown. So it might be a case that they keep him. They might want to turn around and say, "Look, we want to give you a chance for a year, injury free. See how you go." And he would count towards us as well. So,
John, we bought was it Joe Hardy? Remember him?
Yeah.
Never made an appearance for us. He just played under 23 football for a year. Then we pissed him. Then we sold it back for a profit.
We don't know, but he's been one that's been offered a contract along with 2 young fellas. So there must be a reason why they're offering him a contract. We've seen him through all his career really at Liverpool throughout the age groups where there's a talent there for sure, but he's never had an injury-free run at it. And I think the fact that he's 22 could count in his favour. He wouldn't be expensive. No,
he's unfortunately one of those players that when he gets an injury, it's always a bad one.
It's a bad one.
It's never. To us, that's sometimes the concern you have with Jota is when he gets something like when he got injured against City. It wasn't a pull calf; he ripped his calf off the bone. Yeah. Like it's always unfortunately some players are like that. They just are unfortunate. They pick up serious injuries. Which is unfortunate. I mean, the chat is sort of mixed on the fixtures. Some are saying it's the worst fixture list they've ever seen. Some are saying City have got Ashley L saying City have a tough run in October, November. They've got Arsenal, Brighton, United, Bournemouth, Chelsea, and then us. So but the problem
O'Sheen is making a point there as well. Clarkson has had his move. Leighton Clarkson has had his move to Aberdeen go through. So
he did well there, didn't he?
That's on a permanent deal. So that'll be good for him. It's a good league to go as a striker, as a forward player.
Harvey Davis has gone to Crewe on loan, hasn't he?
Yeah, that's a good move as well for him. The fact that he's gone to Crewe makes it, to me, feels like I think he'll be at the AXA training with the first team keepers on a pretty regular basis. And then
he can get some real matchday experience.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good one for him because I'm hoping that move. Yeah, I'm hoping that move signals that Kelleher is going to be staying for a year.
Yeah, I did. We and me both wondered because of the Europa League situation is Liverpool could almost guarantee him 6 Europa League games, however far you get in the League Cup, and then you still back up for the other games. So you almost guarantee him a bit more games than we could. Whereas I think if we'd been Champions League, you're going probably could have guaranteed a League Cup. So it does help. A lot of clubs do seem to play the reserve keeper in the Europa League until they get to the knockout stage.
No, I think West Ham did it all the way through. Areola played every game, including the final. So
Yeah,
I think he'll be given the Europa League and said, "Look, that's yours."
I think it was surprised to give Europa League to a point, and then
No,
this one.
I give it to him.
Some clubs do both. So
no, personally, I would give it to him and say, "Look, this is yours." And if we get to the final and it's in Dublin, you're playing in it. And if we win it, fine. If we lose it, fine. But at the end of the day, you either trust him or you don't. And if we've got if we believe that there's a long-term future for him at the club at his age, you've got to be able to trust him in these games. And I have no problem in giving him those games, because I think the more he plays, the better he's going to get. He's just one of those keepers.
My view is I think he gets the Europa League group games is to keep him sweet, because I think all it's doing is kicking a can down the road for next summer.
If that was,
and they move him next summer, because I think
if that was put to him, and I'm his agent, I'm asking for a move now. Because I'm not waiting another year.
Yeah, doesn't mean they're telling him that. But
no, well, if that's a sniff of it, I'd be out the door. I wouldn't be hanging about. Why would you waste another year of a kid's career just because we don't want to make a decision on someone? You either back him or you don't. That's the way I'd be looking. If I was his agent, that's what I'd be demanding, and I would be making sure that was the demand, because I think anything less than that, you're just messing him about. It's not fair on him, and it's not fair on the keepers who are there at the club either.
I just wonder if they've just made a decision on already, but they've just said, we'll keep on for another 12 months, moving on in 12 months' time, because we've got so much other things to fix this summer.
Yeah.
It's one less headache, and and they're like, well, next summer we're going to get probably another 2 midfielders anyway, with Thiago going, and then we'll sort out Henderson, and then we'll sort out the keeper situation. So
the other one that's happened is Ramsey's gone to Preston North End. A lot of people commenting on the chat. It is a smart move. It is a good move. We need to see what he's made of.
He's missed a year of development, hasn't he? He needs some regular football now.
Yes, but do you think Conor Bradley might have done enough to come back and sharpen his elbows in pre-season and say, "Look, this is what I can do"?
I think I get pre-season just so we can see what he's at, what level he's at, and the level he's at will then dictate his loan move at the tail end of the window. People are going to hate it, but I think it's going to be Joe Gomez at right back, or if we bring a fullback, or we bring someone like a Timber in who can cover both sides. I think that's what we're looking for. I think for him, they'd rather he had another year playing regular football. Because to be fair, he did brilliant at Bolton, and I just think that's what they'll look at. Going, does he need another year at a Bolton? Does he need another year at a level higher? Because to be honest, I couldn't pick him out in the lineup, but I don't pretend I've seen loads in play. But they might look at, is it more of a physical build he needs, which is dictated, or is it just more of a technical experience he needs? So go from there. That's what I think.
Oisin is in the chat. Oisin would know more than me, because I've seen a bit of him for Northern Ireland, and he does not look out of place playing international football. And he still thinks still think he's off this summer, or someone puts the right money on and clearly wants to take him for more game time. Despite we don't really want to spend our money on a backup goalkeeper this summer. He's on about Kelleher. I think for me with Bradley, he's one of these kids that I think if he's young enough, he's old enough. All I can really go on is what I've watched for Northern Ireland with him, and like I said, he does not look out of place in those games. He looks like he's well capable of playing at the level that Northern Ireland are at in the qualifiers and in the Nations League games that I've watched him in. So it could be a case that they'll assess him in the summer and make a decision on him. Like you said, if he's going to go on loan to a championship club, maybe, or if they think, no, he could benefit from being around the squad and playing the Europa League group games, and then maybe revisit that in the January window. It's a possibility that they revisit. See, this is the other thing with keeping players around for the Europa League. They might revisit some of these squad players that they keep around, like the under-23s that they bring up to play in these group games. They might revisit the loan options for them in the January window. We don't know. But I'm looking forward. He's probably one of the few players that I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do in the preseason games. because we're not going to be playing that many, so it's going to be more a case of what rumors or what noises are coming out from the other players when they're talking about him, because I don't know what we're going to be able to gauge off the games that they play.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things to keep an eye on.
So last couple of questions, then we'll start talking about the fun stuff. So Brian's asking, do we think Matip and Thiago are staying? It's finally their contracts, both 32, may as well play it out, both quality and experience, and make good squad players. My opinion is Thiago stays, goes in the free next summer. Matip is gone by the end of the window because there's so many links to centre backs who become a fullback. It kind of feels like they're trying to move him out.
But I think the only thing I'd look at is you're not hearing any noises from other clubs looking to take him. So it's it might be a case that we would bring someone in and use one of the spots that were freed up by the 4 who left as a case that we bring in 3+1 and the +1 as a centre back is a defender, where we're losing 4 bodies out of the club, but we're bringing 4 in, one of whom is a centre back, and we might keep 5 centre backs at the club because of the volume of games. And it's clear to see that
none of them stay fit.
It's not a case of none of them stay fit, mate. It's like the forwards, it's form, and I wouldn't be opposed to going into the season next year with 5 centre backs because I think there's got to be enough games to play 5. There's 4 of them you can't really trust their fitness. But at the same time, when they're all fit and firing, having the options to rotate is a good thing. Competition for place is a good thing. And like someone said in the chat there earlier, they're costing nothing. Bar wages, we're not going to get a fee for Matip that's going to be significant enough to say, God, we got to take this. And the same for Thiago. Thiago, we're paying his transfer fee in installments, 5 million every year for 4 years. We pay 5 million for him plus wages. That alone is worth him staying for the year, because of what he offers you in experience off the pitch. So I wouldn't be opposed to both staying and just add a centre back to make it 5. The other options, I think Nat Phillips desperately needs to get out of the club, and Reece Williams is just not at the level to be at the club. No. He's just not. And at the end of the day, it's not helping him in his development. It's not helping him in his career longevity. If he wants to have a career in football, to be 6th choice, 7th choice in and around the squad. So
he needs to find the right move, though. He needs to find the right move. Yeah. Swansea didn't work out for him.
Swansea was horrendous for him. Swansea was horrendous for him from off the pitch reasons, more than on the pitch reasons. And that was an absolute disgrace. And I don't think enough was made of it at the time.
No.
So, but no, look, I just think that with the 4 bodies that left, we've got 1 in. Apparently, he played an hour. McAllister played an hour for Argentina in a 2-0 win over Australia. So, I'm can't wait to see him in a red shirt. He's just special. We bring 3 more players in of that caliber, of that quality. Whatever the fee is, I don't care. But of that caliber and quality, delighted with life. We're in a really good spot.
Yeah, and as for the fixtures, at the moment, on paper, it depends. If we're looking at the prism of Liverpool last year, that fixture list looks horrendous because it looks really difficult. But you're going, but until we get a bit closer to the end of the summer, we've no idea what we're facing. Because if Chelsea are anything like they were last year, then Liverpool know. If they play anything like they did at the end of last season, then that's a game they win quite comfortably. But if Liverpool's away form was anything like it was last year, we've got absolutely no chance. But at the moment, you just don't really
we don't know.
So.
I mean, I've seen people's first reactions. They saw away Chelsea, and your first instinct is to think of Mourinho's Chelsea or Ancelotti's Chelsea. Chelsea are after spending blah, 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 and they're going to be this, that, and the other, and they're bringing in the reincarnation of Pele. And, they're going to do this, that, and the other in the transfer window. At the end of the day, that club's a mess. It's an absolute mess from start to finish.
But we always knew one of the top 6, one of last season's top 6 was going to get Chelsea because the way this work is, the top 6 don't ever play each other in the opening day of the season. It's apparently one of the rules of when we do the fixture list. But which means Spurs and Chelsea we're always going to get. There's a good chance one of you are going to get a bit of a bastard of an opening game. It's how we played Arsenal in 16-17 because we finished 8th and we played Arsenal were fourth.
It's always going to be the way. It's always going to be the way. The champions are almost always going to get a promoted side, generally away for TV.
Friday night.
Whoever finishes second tends to get a promoted side, or a light touch game.
We always used to get Wolves at home last game of the season. Generally, we get Wolves at home last game of the season. We're normally in and around a title race, so I'm taking that as an omen. Now, admittedly, both of those
I'll take that.
Second.
I'll take that.
After what we had to watch this year, Kev, I'll take second over the shit show we had last year. So
it is, but in fairness, there were certain things because we're chatting about the game tonight. I spent about 3 hours down the YouTube rabbit hole today.
I knew you'd enjoy this, but I said, "Do you want to research this?" And you're like, "Oh, that's my day sorted."
Yeah, that was my day off sorted.
So let's go back. So it's 7th of May, 2019. Liverpool are 3-0 down on aggregate to Barcelona. Just to give you an idea of the run-in. So we got beat 3-0 away at Barcelona, which was sickening because Liverpool actually played really well.
Mm-hmm.
But they just could not hit a barn door. Even when Barca went 2-0 up with a wonder goal from Messi, which is still one of the great free kicks, we run on the other end. Salah blams the post when it's easy to score an open goal. It's just like, what's going on here? Then we had and I remember watching this, the Newcastle game, where Origi gets the winner last minute of the game. I don't think I even celebrated the goal because just before the day before that, Company had scored that ridiculous goal against Leicester, which pretty much unofficially when City are getting caught, so we're not going to win the league. So I was sort of going. So I was sat at home watching this game. You sat at the game going, City want to finish second to City by getting 90 plus points, and we're going to go and knock out the Champions League now. We've actually played really well. He's thinking, this is shit, isn't it?
Yeah, it was.
And to go into it, we had no Firmino because he tore his groin, and let's be honest, spoilers, we get to the final, he ain't fit. And Salah got concussion in the Newcastle games, and concussion protocol said he couldn't play until after the Barcelona game. But Salah had his never give up t-shirt. So you're already going like, oh, so we're 3-0 down, and two of our main guys are out. This is going to be an interesting day.
It was right about this time I wish we did post matches because the away game was
ridiculous.
If we come out of that 3-3, it would have been a fair result that night.
Yeah,
they were really good. They were just about to wrap up that La Liga the following weekend. They were one of the right up there Barcelona sides. I don't think they were peak Barcelona, but they were right up there.
And they made 11 changes. At the weekend, they rested their entire starting 11. So they had a week of freshness where Newcastle, who were at force of relegation, basically had nothing to play for, and Rafa decided full Rafa out. I'm going to make it
Give me 1 sec.
Dog of the game for you. So we sort of go into the game. So we've got no Bobby, no Salah, and then you had the manager trying to big up Ryan Brewster. Ryan Brewster made his first appearance on the bench. That's kind of the levels we were getting to, going, oh, God, this is not going to be good. This is not going to be good at all, is it? We'll go here. Thor saying, especially went to Paul Merson laughing at Jamie Redknapp when Redknapp said Anfield can do funny things to opposite teams. That could be it. Yeah, thing is, the Anfield atmosphere, I'm not sure if it does funny things to the opposition. I think he does funny things to Liverpool players. I think it always, as we talked about the 05 game, I think it brings Liverpool players up to an additional level. So I think it's more how it affects us and them. But listen, I couldn't get a ticket to the game. I think my brother went with my dad, so I was sat at home watching it thinking, let's see what happens. So it says a back four. It was the main back four. Trent, Matip, Van Dijk, Robbo. That was the back four because Jogee was picked up an injury away at Burnley. Matip got back in, and this is when I was proven wrong on my Matip show because I was not the big Matip fan. I was like, he's all right. He's a bit weak. I think he's easily found out. But he got fit, got to run a game. You're like, this is why he signed him. This is why Klopp's a manager and I'm not. Midfield wise, this balled a bit of piss when it came out. Fabinho, Henderson, and Milner was picked ahead of Genie because it was a flip between the two. And then the attacking three was Shaqiri, who just came out of nowhere because we had to use him. We had Origi and Sadio Mane, who was unreal in this game. He may not have scored or got an assist, but this is how you lead the line. This was big game player going, right, my two mates out here, I'll lead this. It was ridiculous, Manny. Absolutely ridiculous.
I think we look back on this game in isolation, right? And we know the result now. But I think we forget how good we were this season.
Ridiculous.
We take it for granted that, we got to the semi-final. We were so good that season. We were so good. And the fact that we went away and lost 3-0, even if it was in the Nou Camp, and the manner of the loss, it was a huge shock. Nobody expected Barcelona to get a 3-0 win. And it wasn't a 3-0 game either. But the players must have come out of that thinking that we're better than that. We deserve more than that. I don't believe for a second that they, in their heart of hearts, that they thought they could turn it over.
No.
But when I saw the lineup, I was the same as you. I was at home.
Do you remember all the manager chat of, well, if we need to, we've got Ryan Brewster. He's a youngster. Funny things happen with him, and you wear that. As good as this team was, you're going like, yeah, but we're relying on Ryan Brewster. But I've come to the theory, and I think we should re-sign it now. Is whenever Ben Woodburn's on a bench in a semi-final, we always get to the final. He did the Rovers ones. He's in the Barcelona. Ben Woodburn's had a great career. Just sits on bench in semi-finals. It's brilliant. But the bench-wise, we had Mignolet, Lovren, Woodburn, Brewster, Genie, Gomez, and Sturridge. So there was some match winners. We knew we had Sturridge and we had Genie, but the rest of you go like, a few centre backs and a couple of kids. You go like, that's
I look
at wafer thin there.
I look at it and I looked at it and I thought there's one change. I think if the 11 that were on the pitch had to do it, Genie's there. Genie's the only change. At the time, Sturridge was right at the end of his time at Liverpool, and he wasn't impacting games at all. Even when he was coming off the bench, it was very rare that he was impacting anything. So it was literally a case of try to win the game on the night. I was sat at home. I was on my own. I was thinking, just win the game on the night. Don't let Suarez and Coutinho come back and get anything out of this. Because we already knew that a few years before they turned over PSG, but they'd also been turned over by Roma.
I think that was the Joey. You don't want to believe because it's the hope that kills you.
Yeah,
you're thinking, yeah, Roma did this. And in the back of your head, you're going, we're a better side than that Roma side because we played that Roma side in the next round that year in the semi. So you're like, we're a better side than that Roma side, but you were like, my thing was get to half time 1-0, and do you know what? Just see what happens then.
Well,
I was a bit like you don't have to, because you could do the other thing of, well, with this down, that was it. We need to get 2 before half time. You've really got to force it. It was a get to 1-0 at half time, and hopefully, if they score, it was tie over. We all knew that. Barca knew that because they tweeted it out. We score 1, they need 5. That's it.
They need 5. That was it. I think, and I'll be honest. I think that was half the reason why Milner started, was to try to be solid and nasty and horrible to play against. That Milner could play against Messi and just annoy him, dog him a bit, and just wind him up. Be a horrible.
Well, I think he said Messi
called him a donkey.
Yeah,
Messi called him a donkey.
He said, he goes, I'll take it. He goes, at least he spoke to me. That's how Milner takes it.
That's Milner, isn't it? But I'll be honest.
Do you want to hear their
side? I didn't expect anything out of that.
No. I mean, their side was Ter Stegen in goal.
Yeah.
Sergi
Roberto.
That's it. PK Longley, who's at Lower Spurs, who's dreadful. Alaba, Rakitic, Busquets, Vidal, who was excellent in both ties. To be fair, I thought he played well.
Yeah.
Coutinho, Messi, Suarez. So you sort of go, Jesus, well, that's see how this goes. But listen, it's almost like the crowd as well decided, if we're not going to win, I think the crowd seem to get the tone right of, well, if we're going down fighting, so let's make this awkward. And the best thing was Liverpool did the Rafa Benitez fast start thing, which is just hit him hard in the first 10 minutes, just see what happens. And, It's Alaba mistimed the header. I think Manny picks it up. Gets Henson. Henson probably should score. It's a good save by Stegen. Henson
come off
his heel, but Origi, where you want your number 9 to be, tap in, and that's 7 minutes. And that's like 7 minutes in. You're thinking, and at least I don't think even then I got excited. I sort of celebrated. Went, well, at least got something back. So at least got something deserved back.
Yeah.
But then,
for me, it was like at least we've shown up. At least they can now see you can score against these.
Yeah.
You know, they were a serious side. You know what I mean? They were a proper side.
And I think
you could score against them, and that confidence that you can get from that. But at the same time, I watched that first half back today. I watched the highlights of it, and Alisson made some outstanding saves.
We'll come to him. But I can't remember, it was before the goal, after the goal, there was the Robbo incident with Messi, which Robbo has all come back and said, yeah, I can't regret doing that, because I think he said that could have backfired massively. But just when he scruffed Messi's head, pushed his head down, they had a bit of a... But it was again that little bit, maybe a bit of petulance, but a bit of defiance of, we're not getting intimidated by you.
Yeah, we're not overawed by you.
And this is, Messi, brilliant. Suarez, as much as he's a gobshite, he's brilliant. Him and Robert went at it all half. Unfortunately, Suarez won the battle.
Suarez done him.
But we got him knocked out eventually. So, and then other than that, we had a couple of half chances. Shaqiri couldn't pass water. He was.
I think Mane had a shout for a penalty. Mane had a shout for a penalty, and I think if it was a Premier League game, it would have been given. It would have been given, because I think it was Roberto caught his legs as Mane was going through, and it was like a tangle of legs, but it was behind him. The referee immediately just went, no penalty. But I think that could have been good. That, to me, I was screaming, I was roaring for everything at that stage, because it wasn't the case we got one and then sat back and tried to play in the break. It was in to win for 90 minutes. It didn't stop.
But then we also had the most ridiculous yellow card you've ever seen in your life, where Fabinho does an absolute brilliant tackle. It's a proper one of those ball-winning tackles that gets the crowd going. He gets yellow card. It's the cleanest tackle you've ever seen.
Yeah,
it's the Suarez pirouette that gets them done. So
Fabinho that night was as good as, I think that was arguably his best game ever for Liverpool that night. He was everywhere, and the fact that he got booked early probably worked for him in his favor in the long run, because he had to concentrate on everything.
Yeah.
He couldn't be late. He had to read everything perfectly. He couldn't lunge in and make a rash tackle or anything like that. He had to be deliberate with everything, and he was so good that night.
But then the rest of that half, though, as well as we played, Alisson the Silver Surfer in that one-off silver kit, because it clashed with it clashed with the referee's kit or something, so we had to have a new kit just for this one game. He makes some good saves. Coutinho low save, couple from Messi. There's the breakaway from a corner where it falls to Alaba, and he comes out quick. It's
that's what I mean. Barcelona had chances to wrap that game up. They probably had more chances in that first half than we did.
Yeah,
but the fact that we were able to stick into it, and stay with it, and the crowd, and as we were saying in it, as the tackles were flying in, and as Alisson was making saves, the crowd were getting more and more invested, and it was getting more and more raucous and more intense, and it was a case of like everyone knew, get one more, and anything can happen from here. You want to say?
Yeah, I mean, the other big incident we had before we had the Robbo issue was, you forget this, and this gave us flashbacks of Rome, was Henson gets caught. It's nothing dirty, just get caught, but I think he's knee on knee, and he's grabbing his knee, and you automatically think, oh shit, that's another Chamberlain injury. Because the camera zooms on Klopp, you can see Klopp looking up to the skies going, please, thinking, that's another one done, not another one. Now, somehow, Henson plays the full game. You find out later, like at half time, they put him on a bike. Because basically, if you stand still, your knee sees up. And I think he had bruising all down his kneecap and all sorts, So, for that one, and I know Henderson's, people just like to hate on him at the moment, but he was so key to that game. Captain's performance, what you need from your captain. So
Yeah.
half time, what you thinking? 1-0, thinking, great, we're 1-0 up, but, fuck me, they've had some chances as well,
Yeah, it was like, all I was thinking to myself was just get one. Just get one. And you've got Genie to come off the bench for the last 20, and you never know what can happen. You can always because I remember the debate that was going on the telly at the time at halftime was to take Shaqiri out and put Genie in and give him that free roll, or to try to get him further up the pitch. And I thought, yeah, that's probably what you do, but you do it on.
Because Shaq did have a good first half, but again, he barely played. He plays
Yeah.
quite a lot earlier on the season, but from about January onwards, he doesn't feature that much.
No.
Partly injuries, partly just. We also know with Klopp, when he gets like the February time or what he thinks is the running, he has a set team which says this is the team that we play to the end of the season. And to be fair, Pep does this as well. Quite a few managers. I think they kind of get their 14 and go, I'm riding this 14 now for the running. The others come in if they needed to. So what we didn't realise was, and we only found out, was Genie comes on at half time for Robbo, and you find out Robbo's injured, and you're like, oh, so he's playing left back. So then you go, oh shit, James Milner's got to go left back, which he fucking hates playing left back against Lionel Messi. Oh, nice one. He's thinking, and it was a bit like, could you stack it anymore now? So you've got captain who's now half fit. You've lost Robbo, so he's had to put Milner to left back. No Salah, no Bobby. You're thinking,
yeah.
Even those positive lads going, fuck me, could much more go wrong here? Against us.
I was sat there at halftime, saw the change coming up, saw the board coming up, and then they said in the commentary, Robertson's had to go off injured, and they replayed the tackle and all the way through the halftime. So you saw what Suarez did.
Yeah.
And you know what Suarez is. You just know. You know exactly what he is. So at the end of the day, I saw that, and I saw Genie coming on. I saw Milner going to right and to left back. It was a sinking feeling in the pit of my stomach. Oh God! I mean, it was an oh God moment, because it's
they had an early chance as well, because to be fair to Suarez, he scuffs his chance.
Yeah,
Suarez, to be fair, he's normally quite lethal, but he scuffs his chance. You think, well, there's your warning, and then it's 54 minutes. Trent gets the ball, right back position, plays a horrific pass to nobody, but tenaciously wins it back, and you look up, you think, well, there's fucking no one in the box.
There's no one in the box.
Genie comes in late, hits it under to Stegen's elbow, hits his arm, and goes in. You're like, oh, now 2-0, game on. Now the mad thing is, we'll come to the other goal in a minute. After the goal, there's a VAR check for a red card, and the potential red card. And they were trying to, when you watch it, Stegen's trying to claim Genie's punched him. Because he just grabbed the ball off him, and it was a tactic. But that's for 2 minutes.
Exactly. That's what I was looking at.
Because when you see it, you think, oh, 2, because the next goes. But literally, when you watch it, after the VAR check, Liverpool, Barca kick it off, Liverpool get it back, play out wide. Milner has it, gives to Shaqiri, gets it back, plays a reverse pass to Shaqiri, first time cross, and up like a salmon. He loves a header, Genie, and you're like, 3-3. Fucking hell, what's going on here? And it went off. All the bench, you're thinking like, wow, this is game on this. And then you look and went, it's only 56 minutes. Because it feels like it's a lot later in the game. You're thinking, oh, there's a lot of time to go left here. But you're like, wow.
I mean, when it happened, and I think it was one of those games that it needed to happen quick. I think the longer it would have gone on, they'd have made their changes and they'd have sat in, and they would have probably managed the game a lot better the longer it got on. I think that if it had got to 70 minutes and we hadn't scored at 2-0, I think if it had got to 70 minutes, they'd have gone to a back five and they would have literally just played on the break. And they had players to come off the bench, the likes of Malcolm, the likes of Semedo, who could play with pace, who could hurt you on the counter if we were overcommitting players into attack, and we would have had to. So the fact that we got the two goals on the back of each other didn't give them time to think, didn't give them time to reset at 2-0 to think, okay, and then it goes from 2-0 to 3-0, and Anfield
it's a wonderful header.
Yeah, it's a great header. It's a brilliant goal because
that celebration, the pitch of that celebration of Gino is iconic. It's what you think when you think that's become one of those when you think Anfield European night. You obviously got the Louis Garcia ghost goal. Sorry, that Genie one to make it 3-3. It's one of those ones you think and you just go, this is unreal. This and literally after he scores, within 5 minutes, Coutinho's whipped off, and they throw it right back on. They throw Semedo on. So that tells you
when they start to panic. That's when they start to panic. And it was
Coutinho was a non-event. Both ties, really. I think the occasion did get to him a little bit because he just was a non-event.
He was under massive pressure at Barcelona. He was under he had the transfer fee pressure. It hadn't worked out. He started off and he showed a few glimpses here and there of what he could do, but it just wasn't working for him. And here you go. You're back in your old stomping ground. You're 3-0 up. What could go wrong? Well, as it happens, a hell of a fucking lot.
But again, it's one of those things where you're thinking like, do you want these club sign players? Like, do they not watch him? Because they were again trying to play him like he's going to be the new Iniesta or a Xavi. We're going to play him centre mid, and we're going, Liverpool try centre mid. It doesn't work. He has to play in the front three. That's how he is. And he eventually did move to the front three, but it's a bit like the Sadio Mane thing now at Bayern Munich, where I'm like, you play him left wing. So to me, he's done as a left winger. He's a centre. You play him as a number 9, or you play him as an impact sub. Now that's what Sadio Mane is. There's nothing wrong with that. That's what he's become because of time catches up with everyone. But you're like, you do wonder that. So, but after that, we did have a little bit of backs to the wall. Messi sort of got going again. He had some chances. Listen, you still needed Ali to be really switched on because you think,
he was.
Yeah, and then I think it's on. I was interested in 75 minutes. Vidal goes off. Vidal had a decent game, and they brought on a guy called Arthur Mello. Don't know where
Never heard of him.
Never heard of him. But he got 15 minutes at Anfield, which is more what he got when he played for Liverpool. Ironic. Who'd have thought it, eh? So there you go. There's one for you. There's a quiz for you. Fucking hell. Arthur Mello. I don't even know if he touched the ball, to be honest.
Do you know what? I didn't even remember that he played. And that's true.
What, for Liverpool or against Liverpool?
Either or. But no, and the thing was, at 3-3, it really became a next goal win.
Thank you.
It was hyper critical that we didn't concede because we'd have had to score 2.
Yeah,
that was the jeopardy that we were under with the away goals rule at the time that's now gone. But it was you still had to be wary that no matter what happened, at least at 3-3, it was going to extra time and penalties. But if we conceded 1, the odds of us getting 2 with 15, 20 minutes to go were slim and none. So all of the jeopardy was ours. It wasn't theirs until Oakley Cannoneer had a divine moment.
So, let's talk about this. So, Trent gets the ball. He wins a corner. And Trent openly admits that him and Klopp had the conversation, which is you keep switching the corner taker. You take one, Shaqiri takes one. Different angles just to mix it up. And he was about to just leave it for Shaqiri to take. But as part of this, ball goes out of play. Ball boy catches it. He throws the ball quickly to Trent. What also is the other balls on the pitch, which Origi kicks off, and then instead of Origi's style, languidly walking to the middle of the goal, not really, as Origi does. And Trent, and this one goal I actually saw because I suppose people have been in the grounds. Most of them said I never saw it until 2 days later. I was too busy celebrating, didn't actually see what happened. And it was took a step. He just takes a step back, look, and he just goes, it's on. And as soon as he hits it, he goes, I celebrate. And then I went, they don't know that. Because your natural reaction after you celebrate, and then go like, that's outrageous. And then there's a little thought you're going, are you allowed to do that? I mean, you're allowed to take a quick corner, but we know how fussy referees can be. It's like,
Yeah.
I've not blown me whistle. They weren't ready. And I was like, and it's just
Unt-
like, and I don't like Fletch on BT, but his commentary is good for it when he just goes, where his is like, he goes, oh, they've caught them cold. And they're like, obviously, ultimately, Steve Hunter, who I'd love to get on a podcast or something to have a chat about his games, his comments, comes up with the iconic line.
Yeah.
Corner taken quickly, Origi, and then John Aldridge screaming
like a lunatic. I think John Aldridge was every single one of us sat at home watching this because
just give you an update in my household. This is where I had to sleep in the spare room because I woke the whole house up.
Yeah.
And I didn't care. I woke my daughter up and everything. Can you believe it? We've scored. They're like, what are you waking me up for?
I'm with Charlie with that because Charlie's in there exactly the same as me, Chris. I had the feeling it would be ruled out, so I didn't go mental, and it should have. I waited until
stopped, and when they confirmed, I went go mental again because just like it was like a double celebration. Brilliant.
I waited until I saw the referee's hand go to the centre circle.
Because even the Barca
it was disbelief. It was absolute disbelief on my part. I can't believe that happened. I've never seen it before.
The bits underneath let's go. It's really quick thinking by Trent. You know, it's as Pentland says, cheeky. But when you watch the goal back, it's not an easy finish because it's not like it's along the floor. It bounces up, but it bounces up. Yeah, it's a very awkward finish to do. So,
and it's not something that he would have. It's not something that you practice. The ball coming across you.
Yeah,
and you take it first time, bouncing ball. But it was the fact that Trent saw it.
The more natural thing is go across your body, isn't it? And then whip it. So it's
whip it back with power with your put your laces through it. But the fact that Trent's 20, right, in this game. He's 20 years of age. He still looks like a baby in this game. He still looks like a young fella who's just out playing with the grown-ups. It's one of them. And the fact that he was switched on to see it when you're
it's that childlike smile he does when they celebrate. They come out the huddle after all celebrate. I think it's Virgil slapping his face. It's that childlike, youthful innocence of I didn't think it'd work. It was like I think when you're a bit older, you don't try that. It's just like because you're so young, thinking, fuck it, give it a go. Why not?
I mean, I remember the celebration. Origi runs down the touchline. Diggsy Lovren flies in out of nowhere, and the whole lot of them are like, "It's on. We've done it." And then reality sets in really quickly. You see Klopp celebrating at the sideline. He looks up to the heavens and literally just stands there and just applauds. He doesn't do anything other than just claps his hands. He can't believe what he's seeing. And then the reality sets in that they're going to come at you.
But it's also
everything.
But I think that the fear came with me. Like I went, get in, we're through. I can't believe we're through.
And then you look at the clock.
Fuck, there's 11 minutes to go. Oh shit! Because in your head, and it's one of those things when you watch anything and we scored this and we went through, and you're like, shit, don't do 10 minutes of this.
Yeah.
And you're just like, I don't even remember this. You're like, oh wow.
And you look at who they had on the pitch at the time. You still had Leo Messi is one of the greatest players to ever kick a ball.
Well, they bring they bring Rakitic on, don't they?
Yeah, they were still
take Rakitic for Malcolm. They played
for Malcolm.
Big money. They paid big money for that thing.
They did, yeah. I think they paid 30+ million for him.
Yeah, but
he was rapid.
But they barely used him.
Rapid. No. But the thing is, he was quick. So you had him with pace. You had Semedo with pace. Semedo, I think, the only reason they didn't start Semedo, because Semedo was a regular. He was a regular right back in that season. And they started Sergio Roberto because he was seen as a safer option. He doesn't venture forward much. He'll stay in and be the better defender. So you had pace on the wings. You had Messi. You had Suarez. You had Rakitic came off. But you had players. You had Sergio Busquets as well. Pick a pass from anywhere. They were still going to throw the kitchen sink at it. And we're sat there like having it come. We've scored 4 goals against a side who were rested for a week,
and you can still be knocked out with one mistake.
Yeah, won their title, And that was exactly it. One mistake, one rash tackle that could lead to a penalty, one, bit of exuberance in the box where you mistime a lunge or anything. Then we made a few changes as well. Daniel Sturridge come on.
So
Joe Gomez, I think,
they were going to take Shaqiri off with about 5 minutes to go, and they stopped it. I mean, Shaqiri could barely move because he barely played. No. But Origi cramped up, could not move, so they subbed him off, brought Joe Gomez on. So I think Joe Gomez went right centre back, and we sort of went to a back five. We played Trent and Milner as wing backs.
Yeah, we did that a few times in that season, mind. Where Klopp wanted to see out games last 5 minutes. He'd done it more than once.
Yeah, and then on the 90th minute, Shaqiri came off and Sturridge came on. But the mad thing is, and we forget this, is Liverpool should have scored 5. Yeah. They had 2 big chances. One where I think Henson does a step over, Sturridge does a step over, and the step over's never on. And Shaqiri has a great chance as well before he goes off. So we could easily have got 5. But the best moments of the game, though, and it's so funny, is Fabinho. I'd love if he gets this back in his game because he didn't see much of last year. Breaks up play, gets a tackle, bursts past Messi with the ball, and it's the Didi Hamann roll. You're on the Didi Hamann roll, but it's the reactive rolls, and he points straight eyes, going, "That's a yellow, that's a yellow," and he gets Messi booked. Which I thought it was just ironic because it was like, we would.
That's where I go back. I'll go back to what I said about Fabinho. Fabinho in that game, that was the best game I've ever seen. I've seen Fabinho play to this day. And the fact that is still in him as a player, it just is. He needs help to get back to that kind of form. But he was outstanding that night. He was in large part the reason we were able to play the way we played. He was just everywhere. His go gadget legs were just getting involved in everything. There was another moment as well. I think it was in the second half. Matip brought down Messi, and he had a free kick from virtually the identical spot to where he scored that postage stamp goal in the first leg. And I gotta admit, that was head and hands, my heart in my mouth. I thought, if anyone's going to do it, it's going to be him. If anyone's capable of doing it, it's going to be him. But I think it went in.
I'll sure we'll do this game as well. So, but the shades of Dortmund 4-3 because there's a similar in the 4-3 Dortmund game when you think, oh fucking hell, this is going to cost us here, isn't it? So then there's the iconic bit where I think Milner and Genie take it into the corner. Milner gets pushed over. He just puts the ball between his legs and he pretty much lies there. It's like, kick me. You're not having the ball because you never get it. And the full-time whistle went. And just half the players collapsed. Genie's on the floor praying. Henson, Milner rarely is emotive in that way. He's quite a cool, calm customer. Breaks down. Henson collapses. And you see the replay of it. He literally gone.
He was done. He covered every blade. He covered every blade of grass that night.
Lalani's best mate came on the pitch to check up on him because again he was another one that we were like touch and go. He might get on the bench. Lalani might not, and unfortunately for Lalani, he never quite made it. But celebrations, singing I'd love to have been in the ground for that bit. But they're all singing.
It was amazing. It was amazing.
And such what you want.
Yeah, I think every now and again, if you're on a day off, it's lashing rain outside, I'll throw YouTube on and I'll watch the extended highlights of that game, and I'll watch the post-match reactions after. And moment.
I quite like watching the opposition fans' post-match reaction to the corner taken quickly because they're always like, that's going to be disallowed. And they're like, oh, no, it's allowed. Oh, no.
I looked at that game. That's why I think, that's what I said on Twitter about tonight's show. To me, it's the single best experience I've had watching Liverpool as a fan because Istanbul, Milan were on a par with Barcelona for me. That version of Barcelona were on a par with Milan. We didn't win the game. We won it on penalties, but we didn't beat them in 90 minutes or in extra time. We didn't get ahead of them or score more goals than them. We won it on penalties.
So I'm laughing at Ashley L's response there. Quite a few of the players had kids precisely 9 months later.
I'd say that there were some
celebrations. Having been to the last home game of the season, they're a fertile bunch to Liverpool lads. They've all got big families.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, in fairness, I imagine there was a lot of birthdays in there around the same time, for sure.
Jack's good show, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, that was brilliant.
You get this on YouTube as well. The Channel 5 commentary, and to be fair to Algier, is really good.
Yeah,
catches the atmosphere at the right time and all that.
He does. He's actually, and he doesn't do it often, Sheer, when he's actually co-commentating. You don't hear.
He's more interesting in that than he is when he's a pundit.
Exactly. But for me, this game, above all others, is because we weren't expected to do it. No. Granted, we were at home and we were in probably, arguably, the best form we've ever been in as a club going into that season.
That 2-year period, we were ridiculous.
Yeah, we'd already gone to the Champions League final year before. The fact that we got to go there again, back to back, that's rare as hen's teeth in itself. And the fact that it was Messi and it was Barcelona. For me, it was ridiculous. I mean, love watching finals, but the game against Tottenham, knew we were going to beat Tottenham. You know, it's fucking Spurs. I knew we were going to beat Spurs. Winning the league, we knew the league was done. We knew the league was over in January. It was just a case of get it done. You know, and it was a great experience. It was great to watch it and all that. But for me, I lost my voice for the bones of 3 to 4 days, where for 2 days I literally had no voice. I couldn't speak a word. I had to do an interview on the radio the next morning, and I was like a 12-year-old, you know, talking through the phone with my broken voice. And it was absolutely hilarious trying to talk to the presenter about what I was like, and it was mental. It was absolute mayhem, and I can only imagine it was everywhere. Everyone was in the same boat.
That's why I was talking about. Listen, we all want to win trophies. We all do. You know, it's what you're in it for. You want to win stuff, of course you do. But there's nothing wrong with also saying sometimes the journeys are fun though. You know, I'm gutted we lost in Kiev. But some of the memories from that run to Kiev were ridiculous. And, you know, there's nothing wrong with watching that. You know, I still love watching back the Dortmund game. I know we lost the final. And, you know, I wish we had won the final. But there are other things that I'm thinking. That's what I'm hoping this Europa League run we have this year does. I hope we have some of these, like, mad games. And, you know, because European nights are still fun. Yes, is it the Champions League? No, but enjoy it. You know.
Yeah. Brian Halloran makes a point there. An incredible display of spirit and resilience. We knew the league was gone. It was our only hope of a trophy. That's spot on, Brian.
Big pressure because it went from being this Liverpool side could do a double to this great Liverpool side. This is a great Liverpool side that's going to win nothing this year. That's what it went, and that's how I felt.
Thrown in your face.
Yeah, that's how I felt. Even when we beat Newcastle, I was quite down even for the Newcastle because you know. Wrongly doubting, thinking I just can't see us beating Barcelona for 4-0.
Oh, no, you weren't alone. I think virtually everybody was in the same boat.
Yeah, so you know, you're thinking we deserve something this side. So you know,
O'Shea makes a point there. Greatest night of my life watching the Reds. Will do well to be beaten. Do you know what, O'Shea? I'm in that boat with you, and the night that it surpassed, I can't wait. I can't wait for the night that's surpassed because
for me,
the way that this club is, it will be surpassed.
For me, it's the greatest game at Anfield I've witnessed on telly. For me, the greatest at Anfield is still the 0-5 Chelsea game. Now, I'm biased because I was in it. I wasn't in the Barca one, so I kind of... My brother was, and he was like... He said it was pretty close. It was on a par, but he said it was a different type of atmosphere. He said this was more... He said defiance and we're going to have a go. He said the Chelsea one was more anger and feral. He said it was two different needs at the time. You know,
just grab my glasses a minute because there's actually a quote in here from Klopp that I just want to see if I can grab a sec. If I can find it. How's it? Yeah. There's hope in its football. Klopp said in his press conference that we're not in a situation where we say it will happen 100%, but it's football. The character of the boys, two of the world's best strikers not available, and we have to score 4 goals to go through in 90 minutes. As long as we have 11 players on the pitch, we will try for 90 minutes to celebrate the Champions League. To celebrate the Champions League campaign. To give it a proper finish. That's the plan. If we can do it, wonderful. If we can't do it, let's fail in the most beautiful way. And I can imagine that in the dressing room that they'd have turned around and said, "Look, if we're going to go down swinging, because make it a memorable loss. If we're going to go down, lose 5-4, doesn't matter. It was just make sure that this season isn't remembered for being, we almost won the league, we almost got to the Champions League final, we almost did something. This season deserved." That season that we put in deserved a league title. It deserved the final that we got in Madrid, and it deserved the trophy presentation, and it deserved the parade that came after it. It was, without a doubt, the best season, one of the best campaigns. But that night was one of the best nights watching Liverpool I've had. It was just so memorable in so many ways that it's just one of those nights that'll stay with me. I'll never get bored of sitting down and watching that. Never ever will I get bored of going on YouTube, type in Liverpool 4, Barcelona 0, extended highlights, press play, sit down, cup of coffee, and just put my feet up and just enjoy it. Because it was outstanding. There's no other words for it. It was outstanding.
Correct. So, mate, that's a nice reminiscence, wasn't it? I'll do some really depressing. Just to upset everyone.
Look, at the end of the day, there's plenty of stuff that people can get edgy about and annoyed about, and we're all sat there waiting for transfers to break and some sliver of news to come out. Stuff will come out when it comes out, but at the end of the day, we forget that out of that side that played that night, there's only 8 left from the squad that are still at the club. Mm-hmm. And you imagine now, by the end of this window, by the end of this season coming up, that number is, it's so just enjoy them while we got them. At the end of the day, we might never get this kind of resilient group back together. It'll take time to rebuild that resilience, that never say die attitude. That's not something that comes in. That's something that was built over a couple of years. It didn't just automatically happen. It was a lot of work that went into those 2 years, in the build up to it. It was, it just goes to show you as well, you got to enjoy these nights. You got to enjoy those moments when they come, because we've seen last season, it's so easy for it to slip away from you. Yeah. That's the thing. Got to enjoy it.
So, smash the like button, subscribe, and Joe, should we do this next week?
Well, I'd hope that, love it if people could put in their comments post, after you've watched it, if you're listening to it on a download, thanks for downloading it and thanks for listening. It's really, really appreciate it. Put in a comment or tweet us. Chris's Twitter is there, mine is there. What games do you guys want to talk about? What games do you look back on and think, that was unreal? It doesn't have to be like a final, a semi-final. It could be just a game where it was like absolutely nuts.
We're trying to avoid finals, aren't we? Because we've done the final. We've done lots. We always do those talks about final. So we're trying to just pick anything but a final to talk about. Look, if your favourite game is the 5-4 against Norwich, happily talk about that. That's one of the craziest games you've ever seen.
Yeah.
Although
do you know what I watched today as well? I watched the fan reaction shows to 7-0 for the Manchester United.
Yeah.
Oh, that was funny. Especially when there's one of them that's out there that done a mix, and he put a mix in of their pre-game, the pre-game watch-alongs of what the United fans what United were going to do to Liverpool, and coming to make an example of us and this and that and the other. And then by 7-0, there was one guy into the stream. There was another guy crying into his pillow. It's just one of those things. There's always silly little things in games where you look back and you think, even in last season, there's moments in last season you look at it and you go, God, if you don't enjoy this, what the hell's wrong with you?
Yeah. So it's what the 4-3, Luke here, the 4-3 win over City. That's when Van Dijk didn't play either. Remember that one? We 4-1 up and made it tense at the end.
That was crazy. That was a really good game. Good game.
There was the 4-0 at Real Madrid. Dossena scoring, which he then backed up with a 4-1 win at Old Trafford. Dossena again. 4-3 against Dortmund, which we mentioned a couple of times.
There's absolutely loads of them. There's absolutely loads of them.
Charlie,
but I'm telling you,
the 3-2 against City in 13-14. Oh yeah, that was one you thought it was on.
I'll tell you what. You look back in this decade, the last decade. From 2010 through to 2020.
Ooh.
There's some humdiggers.
Arsenal for life. FA Cup final when you came back to beat them. Oh yeah, that was quite good as well.
There's the FA Cup final, the West Ham one. But in fairness,
I was at that one.
For me, that was a disappointing one because you expected to go and beat West Ham. You know what I mean?
It was a great final, but Liverpool actually were shite. Liverpool were shite.
We were shite. We were absolute shite. And yeah, we got over the line and it was a wonder goal because he lashed it. But it was one of those games that you could arguably probably didn't deserve to win it.
Yeah, but to be honest though, someone said this the other day, before Tottenham won, actually, despite what Tottenham fans tell you, I thought Liverpool comfortably deserved to win the Champions League. Think of all the other finals. There aren't many of them where you go like Liverpool play well, or it's not a fucking roller coaster.
It's very rare that you'll get a final that's a good watch. Very rare.
Even the 2-0 when we beat Sunderland 2-0 in the FA Cup, we were shite first half.
Yeah, it's like you look back at the World Cup final that just gone.
That was ridiculous.
That was a ridiculous final. Exactly. Those kind of finals are rare as hence the Champions League final that we just had with the Man City. That's your typical Champions League final. They're dogged, turgid affairs. The odd goal separates it.
The one we lost to Real.
It's a mistake.
Yeah, the one we lost to Real Madrid wasn't a great final.
No, it wasn't.
Because if we're being brilliant, the one we won against Spurs, we love it because we won. But that's a spectacle. It's not a great game to watch.
No, it wouldn't have been. And the thing is, I think that game, once we got 1-0 up, we just managed it. We knew that we were better than them, and we knew that Kane wasn't right. And all you had to do was just manage the game and
always think about there's a sliding doors moment, that isn't there? Because
if
Spurs have got 1-0 up, would the conversations we have about Kane now, would we be having to say about Firmino? Because he was in the same boat, wasn't he? If we're being brutal, Firmino wasn't fit for that final either.
No.
But we had the luxury of we could take him off earlier, going, we don't need to worry about him now.
Exactly. But Laszlo there, Danny Murphy hat-trick, Ruddock 3-3. There was
Rafa's Valencia at Anfield. Yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah, 4-0 v Arsenal in 14. Or was it 5? Oh, was that the first game of the season? That was one of the opening games of the season?
That's a 4-3. That was the 4-3, wasn't it? The 4-0 against Arsenal was that's one where Suarez hits the post from it. It would have been one of the greatest goals you've ever seen in your life. And it's the post. Yeah.
Well, there's loads to cover, so we'll get through as many as we can.
The 5-0 against Spurs, even John Flanagan scored. That iconic one.
Just have a quick look there, see if there's anything football-related happening. Hang on.
We haven't signed on for a week. We're signed on yet.
Well, Friday Papers stuff is in.
Okay.
Apparently, Spurs have submitted a joint 50 million bid to Leicester City for James Maddison and Harvey Barnes. Okay. Fair enough. Man United, Man City, and Chelsea could all be entering a bidding war for Declan Rice, which is exactly what West Ham want. Good luck to them. Interesting news came out today about Caicedo. What do you think about it, first of all? Do you think 70 million plus 10 in add-ons is a fee that gets him?
Well, they wanted over 100 in January, but I think that's because it was January, it's late, so it must be around that ballpark. But I do wonder because he signed a new contract, there is some sort of a release clause, as in if it's above X level, it can happen. So I just don't know where Chelsea get all this money from, because everyone keeps saying they've got FFP problems and they need to sell players, but they keep just buying players.
Well, there's rumours there in tomorrow's paper that Arsenal are looking to try to take Kai Havertz to Arsenal. We've seen already that Arsenal and Chelsea are quite willing to do business going either way. You've seen it with Jorginho going to Arsenal for a reasonable fee, which has turned out to be a reasonable fee. I don't know. The thing is, it seems to me like clubs are waiting on buying Chelsea players to see how desperate they're going to get over the next 7 days.
Because I think Man United has bid turned down for a Mount.
For Mount, the derisory, well, they call it a derisory bid. I think they had something like a 40 or 50 million pound bid turned down. I don't think that's unreasonable, to be honest.
It's a fair chunk of change for a guy with a year left in his contract.
Exactly. So English tax aside, I think that is a serious chunk of change. But I'm sure the next 7 days around the league will show some movement, and we'll see. We might start seeing domino effects start with when we start seeing some movement that's happening. Because at the minute, the only significant deal that's been done in the Premier League is the one that we've done for McAllister. Nobody else has actually done any significant business. So I think we'll see what happens in the next 7 days. I'm pretty sure we're still going to be active for the foreseeable, right throughout the window. There's still no signs of Klopp being on the beach with a beer in his hand. So,
what these Canate quotes? Jake's asked me, what do I think of the Canate quotes? I don't know if I've heard.
Oh yeah. Well, apparently Canate come out in an interview where he was asked. All the players are away on international duty. He was asked about McAllister, and glad he's it's a good signing, and hopefully it's the first of more to come, kind of thing. And I get where Shawnee was coming from, the angle that look, at the end of the day, you just had an injury-prone season. You're still learning your trade at the club. Keep your head down and get your gob shot, basically. Then Virgil was asked the same question at a press conference and gave pretty much the same answer. It's a good start to the window for the club, and let's see what more comes in, kind of thing. And I can understand where Shawnee was coming from with the fact that Ibu is only in the door 5 minutes. But at the same time, I look at it and I think that's a pretty stock answer that you're going to get when you've lost 4 windows, 4 players out the window, kind of thing.
Here's a quote. Well, it's not funny to aggregate, so we'll assume this is accurate. I think we have 4 players leaving us this season: Ox, Keita, Milner, and Firmino. We are obligated to replace them. If we don't replace them, how do we do it? We are understaffed and we lack quality. We can't play with young people at this level. It could be worded slightly different, but basically said we've lost 4 lads, we need to replace 4 lads,
which is pretty, I don't think that's rocket science. I don't think that's speaking out of school. And the thing is, you don't know how much of that is taken out in translation as to how the rest of the interview was conducted. It might just be a case that, look, when you transcribe words word for word from French to English, it reads different to how it might have sounded. I don't think that sounds terribly out of the way. And I think it's going to be a pretty stock answer to any Liverpool player.
This isn't James Pearce stuff, which was, Liverpool won't pay over the odds of players, and they want to give more minutes to Curtis Jones, which obviously the whole of social media took as we're not signing anyone else, which is like, it's a bit of, it's a bit of a nonsense and not nothing article. It's like, well, it's common sense. Will Liverpool overpay for players? They very rarely do. So, and we've seen Liverpool, whether we like it or we don't like it, if it gets to a point with a price where they won't match, then they'll go without, whether we like it or not.
I think the one thing that I think you could take as read from this transfer window going into this transfer window is, unlike last summer, where we did put all of our eggs into one basket and we don't want
to wait around this long.
Yeah, I think they're not going to get it. I think what I took away from what I've read in the last 7 days is, last time we did a show, was they're not going to get into bidding wars with clubs. They've got their targets. If the selling club isn't willing to negotiate reasonable fees, they will move very quickly onto the next person, because they're not going to hang about waiting to get into bidding wars with anyone for transfer fees to be jacked up on players that might limit them being able to do the amount of business they want to do. So I'm kind of okay. I'm okay with the fact that they're going in offering reasonable fees for basically unproven, if we're to believe the players that we're being linked with. At the end of the day, they've all had good seasons last season, but they've done jack shit since or before that. They're all pretty much in their first real proper season. And there's bags of potential there. But if you're the buying club, you're taking all the risk. that they're going to be able to cope with the transfer fee. They're going to be able to cope with moving to the size of club that they're moving to, that they can handle being in a squad and they can handle the league. We're taking all the risk. So I don't think we're going to be getting into positions where fees are getting out of control. And I think that's the right attitude to have going into any kind of a transfer window, unless you're buying a proven player with the league's experience. If it's for argument's sake, Jacob Ramsey became available, or Villa made it known that Jacob Ramsey was available, and we were going looking for him. That's the type of player I take a little bit of an extra gamble on because he's got the league experience. But someone who doesn't, who could have all the potential of Kefren Turam, and I think he's got bags of potential. I think he's going to be a superstar. I wouldn't be prepared to pay over the odds, and I'm talking about 50 million plus, without caveats in the deal that, look, we'll pay this initial fee and we'll do the add-on side where you'll add on to the fee up to what the selling club want, but not an initial 60, 65 million. I wouldn't be getting into the realms of that kind of money. Not for him or anyone, to be honest. At that age.
I get the impression Liverpool's got backups lined up in terms of the last from Celta Vigo. If you believe the rumours, it's a release clause of around 40 million. So it's one of those, a bit like McAllister. It's one you can do quite quickly.
Yeah.
But if you are to believe rumours, if you're linked to the Chiesa, who is still 25, granted has a not a great injury record, but it's a proven quality.
2 years.
But it's proven quality. It's then the flip of the coin. Do you take the risk on an Italian international who's 35 million and actually, do you know what? If it works, it's a bit of a masterstroke. Or do you go, I'm not doing with that, and we'll go the Celta Vigo line, but we've already got him lined up ready.
Bear makes a point there. Kanate was joking, shouldn't take it seriously. This is the thing, Bear, when things are taken, and it's a lesson for Ibu as well. When things are taken, we've seen it with Mo Salah quite a lot when he does interviews in foreign press and it's transcribed into English. It doesn't read with the same kind of the way he says it in his voice. It doesn't read the same. We've
seen it with Klopp press conferences where people read on social media, get really upset over what Klopp said, and then when you watch when you actually watch it, the recording, he going, it's clearly said tongue in cheek, or he's saying it joke. You can tell by the tone. It's a joking phrase. It's not to be taken seriously, But then it's like you got to watch what you say. It's like, oh, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I just think that we've got options. You manage Celta Vigo, Gabri Vega. He looks a player. He does. And the thing is, any show that I've watched at McAllister, and the stats show and stuff like that, people analysing how he plays, all of the analysis seems to be with him playing off the left.
Yep.
And I don't see him in that role for us. I see him on the right. And I see him on the right close to Salah. I don't see him on the left at all. I see a Kefren Turam type player rotating with Fabinho to play in that 6 role, to be that controller in the middle of the park, someone who can slip passes, someone who can take the ball 30 yards, get you from outside of your box to outside their box and give it to someone who can play. That's how I see that left-hand side role playing, with Trent next to whoever's playing that role to be that person to break lines with passes. I see McAllister very much in that kind of 10/8.5 role on the right-hand side, being the player who might break into the box. He'll have shots from outside the box, link with Mo. I see him as that sort of player. I don't know. I don't know about you. I don't see him on the left at all. I think there's an option there, but I don't see him that being his main place.
Yeah. Right, last question before we go there. Ashley L saying, anyone else worried about the sheer number of options that we are looking at? Do we have a clear vision, or are we looking for young mobile players that are moldable? I mean, I think because everyone knows we need a midfielder, it's trying to shift through the truth and the bullshit, because we're linked with everyone and his dog. But I think there is a vision in terms of the type players. Like when we're getting linked to defenders, it's someone who's a centre-back but can play full-back. Timber can do that. Pavard can do that. Mickey van der Ven can do that. So that does feel like that's a whether the names are true, but the type of player is what we're looking at. And a lot of the over midfielder linked with seem to be big, powerful, mobile lads, with decent passing ranges. None of us are 6, more as a mobile 8, which, if you're honest, is probably what we lacked. We do probably still need a cover at 6, but we did lack mobility in the middle and a bit. We were getting over and overpowered, so that sort of feels like that's what it is. Yeah. I'm a little concerned, like you, the lack of an attacking option being muted.
Maybe it's a case we see where the dominoes fall elsewhere as to what. See, this to me feels like a window where a lot of avenues can open up because of moves that happen. Yeah, because of moves that happen elsewhere, and we'll see what comes available, see who needs what. But I think a forward option might be something that's looked at towards the end of the window if we need it, kind of thing. But it's just see where that.
Like I said, it's also who we bring in, because it might be that if, for example, they see a deal for a Chiesa and they go, well, we're going to go for him. That's the attacking option. We definitely go for
say it's Thuram or Kone.
A Thuram and a Kone. Whereas perhaps they go, well, actually, we're not going to get Chiesa. That's off the window. We're going to get the young Central League lad. Maybe look for a slightly different midfield option who's more of a goal getter and a bit more experienced.
Yeah,
it'd be a Thuram plus another, and it could be an end up.
I got a feeling that we're just going to bring in one more centre midfielder, and I think that one, if that one is Kefren Thuram, I think that's where it could be. I have a feeling that we bring in one more centre midfielder. I think we bring in a centre back, and I think we could look to bring in a forward. I think we bring 4 in, but I just think that that's the split, and I can see a world where Cody Gakpo plays in a midfield for us in certain games this season, where he would drop into the role that McAllister is playing in on a regular basis, and you could have a Darwin Núñez or a Jota playing in the 9. I just think that option is there as well. That's where I think that they could look to move with bringing 4 in, having that balance in using Cody Gakpo maybe in a more midfield option from time to time. I just think that the 4 to come in, for me, that's just where I think the balance is going to lie.
Yeah,
that's why I think when we're looking at Thuram, I think it's Thuram or Kone. I don't think it's both.
I agree. I think it's one or the other. I'm hoping we'll bring in 5 and not 4. But look, time will tell.
Time will tell. It's a long ass window this time. I don't know when the transfer window finishes, but at the end of the day, the first meaningful fixture in the league is, I think, for us, is August the 13th, off the top of my head. So it's not, and our preseason game starting in the middle of July, when you'd hope that the bulk of your business is done.
1st of September, the transfer window closes.
Yeah, and the 13th of August is the first game of the season, or for us, first game of the season. So I just think that you could look at a situation where he'll want to get his main core in early. And if you're looking at a centre-back option, that I think the centre-back options that we're going to look at are going to be blooded in through the season. I think that's something that they might leave until later in the window. Same with a forward. I think a forward option might be something that's blooded in through the season as it unfolds. Whereas the midfield is something that he'll want to get on the training ground from day one. The other side of it is why you saw stuff today that Stefan is going to be available for preseason as well. So,
which is good.
Yeah, and you could see, I heard it somewhere else, where he could end up maybe learning that role that Trent is doing. Dropping into right back on the ball. Do that Trent role from right back into midfield. It could be something that they might try to teach him over this season and see how he copes with it.
Yeah.
He's got the size and he's got the physicality to be able to do that. And he's got the football ability to play football. Whether it's a case that he could do that the way we want him to, I don't know. But it's something that you think they might try to look at and see if it's something that he can cope with.
Sounds good. Right, mate. It's nearly 11:30. Should we let everyone go home?
Yeah.
Listen,
not a bad idea.
Thanks everyone for watching. Like, subscribe, keep an eye out for more updates. I think next show is probably going to be Sunday, which will be another Fatback 4, and then they'll start again. And me and Kev will be back midweek for another one of these great games. So listen, after the show, leave your comments and just give us an idea of what games you want us to do next. Until then, see you later.
Night.